Hello and welcome to the Design vs podcast, where a designer bribes two unwilling guests into debating a topic of his choosing. In this episode, the topic of choosing is PPC. Unlike my intro, PPC ads really do make a good impression. Or do they? Joining me this week is a man with a plan who puts the C in PPC. It's Chris Ellis. How are you, Chris?
Good, mate. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Yeah, it's good to have you in my podcast.
It's good to be on. To be on.
Alongside Chris is a rather tall bloke who enjoys a good noodle sandwich, though some might disagree. Welcome, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. And those who disagree are just plain wrong. I can fully endorse the noodle sandwich.
That'll be a complete different episode, I'm pretty sure, for this Design vs podcast. So, topic of today, PPC ads. Chris, I'm going to just read out an extract that I read on a blog. The question is obviously why PPC ads are important. What it said was...
Did I write the blog?
Did you read the blog?
Did I write the blog?
Did you write the blog? No, a fella named Dave did. Not our Dave, some other guy.
I don't think our Dave can write.
Yeah, Dave, random Dave on the blog.
He's all crayons.
It says, what sets apart an excellent website from the not-so-great ones is that a well-designed website helps boost a PPC advertising campaign while increasing your site's conversion rate. In other words, PPC and web design do go in hand when it comes to marketing your business. Would you agree with that?
100%. You can have the best ads in the world, the most targeted ads in the world, but if you take it to a website that looks like it's done on Microsoft Paint, it's not going to convert, is it? It's just not going to convert. You can have the best product in the world, but if the website is rubbish, then you're not going to get any conversions. It's like you could have Sam, like Sam loves writing copy, you could have Sam do the copy, it could read amazing, but if it just looks like a bag of spanners, unless you're selling spanners, it's not going to convert. So yeah, they do go hand in hand.
Okay, I mean, there's also obviously the design element of it. The design has to look, whatever it is, whether it is a PPC ad or a social ad or even the graphics that we put on the website. So while I do agree with that, I don't know too much about PPC. You see, like I've always been asked to do Google ads and social ads, yet I never see the result side of it or why it has always been such an important part of a website's performance.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never see it because you're never in the target demographic. And so when we create the audiences, we never want like the designers who's mad into gaming and owns more caps than he does, utensils. You're never the target audience.
Not that kind of designer.
But we need, the PPC ads need to be, what I find with design sometimes is that when you design an ad, you will design it to design best practices, which is stuff that you know is really creative, but sometimes for paid, especially paid social, like we need to take your really nice ad that you created and we need to like lay a load of text over it to get our message across, kind of thing. And then that's when you pull that face at me, when you're really not happy when I've done it. So sometimes it's a bit harsh on the designers because they spend time creating something that's really nice visually, and then to make it work as an ad, then we have to then go and layer over the text, the call to action, everything like that. So it's a bit tough on you guys sometimes.
It is. When I first came to doing PPC ads, I think the first time round I was asked to do Google ads. And,
display ads.
Yeah, display ads. Is that the correct terminology?
That's the one, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so make sure I don't offend anyone for saying...
We don't get offended easily.
No?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Foggy does upstairs, but he's up there for a reason.
Yeah, Foggy is our other PPC specialist. Couldn't join us today.
No. Well, you can hear him from upstairs, but it's fine.
If we're quiet enough, then yeah, we can. So I did Google ads, or paid ads, like you said, but I also did social ads too at the same time. And to me, I was going to exaggerate and say it's 1,000 different sizes, but there's different types of marketing ads that we can create. Do you want to outline a few of them?
Yeah, so you've got your standard remarketing ads on Google, so they're all different sizes. Normally, you've got square, so you've got anything like 300 by 300, 300 by 250, 600 by 500. They're probably the most popular. Then you've got your banners and your skyscrapers, so you've got the ones that just go along the bottom, and then you've got the ones that go, the tall ones that go down the side on sites for remarketing. They're pretty much just like company colours with a little bit of text and a small call to action. But the ones that we do a lot of tend to be the Facebook, LinkedIn ads.
They're my favourite ones to do.
LinkedIn are the ones. I mean, they're the ones at the minute. Every client wants to. We did a podcast on this yesterday. Jonathan will put it here. So we did a podcast on this yesterday about how popular LinkedIn ads are becoming now for businesses, especially B2B kind of thing. So yeah, I mean the ads for them, they're going through the roof at the minute. It's so competitive, it's so busy, but we do a lot of those. And then you get like Twitter as well. But normally for Twitter ads, you can kind of repurpose what you've done for Facebook ads and just get them across there as well.
Sam, do we get a regular influx of clients requesting for PPC ads, or?
We do. It's obviously a really popular service. It's something that's always been not a quick and easy win, but it's like if you're going to start and you're going to work with organic, clients always want that quick result. You know, organic takes time. It's got its place. But usually when they come in and they're sort of a new client, they say, oh, we want to generate this immediately. There's only really one tactic to go to, and that is PPC. You know, it gets those leads in straight away.
Yeah.
Like Chris says, you can pick between, you know, your Google search ads or your LinkedIn, your Facebook, and it depends on how you're trying to find the audience. And obviously from a strategy point of view, we'd look at it and say, like, is there a lot of search people already looking for this service? You know, you're looking at Google ads, or do we have to go out and find that audience? Do we want to put ourselves in front of them where they're hanging out, which is usually on social channels? So it's a little bit of give and take, and I think, you know, a good mix of all of those channels is always like the preferable for PPC.
It's tough when we get a new say if we get a new client they get a brand new website, their SEO is going to take a good 18 months, 2 years to get some good solid rankings because it's a brand new website. So then they'll often think of like paid as like a quick win, and whilst it can get results faster, it's not just a quick win. It's more a part of the overall marketing plan. It just helps accelerate that a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think from an ROI point of view as well, it should be an easy sell. I mean, you get to a point where you can say for every £1 you're spending, you're making £5 if it's being done, you know, with that ROI in mind. So it's a no-brainer. Why would you switch something off if it's giving you 5x what you're spending?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at some ROI that I'd worked on previously for clients, and in like 1 year on the Google ads, one client got like a 600% return, and then the other year a client got a 1600% return.
That's crazy.
So that's through Google ads, and obviously that's not all at once. It's like if you get a client in and then you sell them something, then you upsell them kind of thing. But you know, that's what can happen once you get that initial client in. I mean, people laugh when I tell them this, but we do Google ads for Digital 22. So if people are looking for a HubSpot agency, HubSpot manager, anything like that, we get a lot of clients in through that as well, because you know we practice what we preach, so to speak. We run our own ads and we run our clients' ads exactly the same.
I agree. But does design, or rather does paid ads rely on design?
Yeah, we do.
100%?
100%, because I am awful on Canva. But no, we do, because you understand it as well. So once you, I mean, like we sometimes when we get a new client on, it's a bit of a struggle trying to get their design and their tone right on the ads and in the messaging. But once we've worked with them for a while, we can get these ads, we'll get a brief, and we'll send these ads over to them. They come back with no amends, added a copy, no amends, and then they're up within like 2 days. So design is vital to doing the ads, because we need to make sure that they look right, and then you've often worked on the landing page, that looks right, it all flows, it all works well, and then we get more conversions in that way.
Yeah, the biggest frustration from my side of it is, like you mentioned, like at the start with the paid ads, there's all these different sizes, and for me that's the biggest challenge of it all, like trying to get them all to be variable and fit onto the smallest canvas size being the really tiny ones,
yeah.
Where they're usually housed on, but they can just sort of, it's just be text.
Yeah, that's what it's got to be.
Colour.
It's got to be text. And once you get into the rhythm and you've got like a template with all your sizes on, and you can kind of know that when you've done a design, you can look at all the different sizes and just visualise how it's going to fit.
Trying to
it's
get
like,
a consistency.
Yeah, it's like the banner and the skyscraper, they're the worst ones, because they're just like colours and a bit of text, and just try and do it that way. Possibly a logo if the logo's not too detailed.
Yeah, I have to have every single one of them, because
yes.
I often think, is any of this going to be useful for any other sort of?
Yeah,
medium?
because when you do, they're more for like display remarketing. So when you're doing a remarketing campaign and you're on Google or Microsoft's ad network, so they can put these ads on any site that's a part of that, and they might have like the skyscraper down the side, and they might have the banner across the bottom. They might have an inline ad that's just like 300 by 300. So they will have all of them, and if we don't have them, then we're taking out an avenue of where we could show.
Why are the limitations? Like, so we've got all these different sizes, right?
Yeah.
We've got to have the consistency as well.
Yeah.
And there's limitations on how much copy you can use on certain platforms. But why
That's Facebook.
is that? Why is
The-
just Facebook?
It's the control aspect for Facebook. They try and have it so that it's not a whole so it's not too salesy, but Facebook is just a selling platform at the minute. Like, it's just a selling platform. So on LinkedIn you don't have the limitations. On Google Display you don't have those limitations. Those limitations are just Facebook only, and they are a pain when you come to do it. But yeah, I mean, you'll get ads disapproved on Facebook for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and then you'll reload them the next day and they're approved.
Did they not change the text ratio? So it used to be get disapproved, but then it was the more you had text on the ad, the less likely it was to be seen, rather than, I know it used to be like a hard 25% rule, didn't it?
I think they went up to 20 at one point.
Yeah, I remember.
I think they have relaxed it. But yeah, I mean, if you can incorporate it as part of the image, that's always good, but that takes more time with design. So yeah, I mean, the limitations, they are relaxing. Ad roll's really good for display ads. That's one of the best platforms I like working on. Yeah. I love working on ad roll with display ads because you can do HTML5 and everything. But it's something like on LinkedIn you can't use animations for some sponsored content posts.
No.
If you want to use a video, you can't do a lead gen campaign behind it, which is the most successful on there. So a lot of them, especially things like LinkedIn, that is ever evolving and it's getting better and better because it's really like blown up in the last couple of years as an advertising platform. So hopefully they'll all start getting better with the limitations and the variations we can use.
Yeah, we can hope, and obviously
We live in hope.
and I don't know if there's any other limitations from your side, because I know content, like, you write the content for these, but with that limitation in place, you know, trying to work out how much you can actually say in the space of like maybe 15 to 20 characters.
Oh no, it's 100. You've probably got 150 characters on LinkedIn to get your message on.
On the actual post or on the actual image?
Before it truncates it.
Oh, okay.
Because nobody ever clicks see more on a LinkedIn post.
No, it's similar to everything. I used to write ad copy, so back in previous jobs when I was a content writer, and it's a skill in itself to write something really succinct, but also something you want to convert. You know, you're going to spend money on this. You want to get your point across in as few characters or words as possible, but they also need to understand why they should click that. So it can be quite tricky because
it needs to make sense.
Yeah. A/B testing is a thing too, or is it? Because
it is massively.
like I've not had to do many in the recent week for PPC. Like most of it's been social, but when it comes to the actual,
well, you are though, because you're creating two variations of the graphic, aren't you? Because we're creating them in different colours. So that in itself is a form of testing, and then we test the copy that goes with those.
Yeah.
And so what we'll find out that different colours work in different countries better. We ran a campaign before in the United States, and we had two colours of the ad. One was pink, one was purple. Nobody clicked on the pink ad at all.
No.
Nobody clicked on it.
Well,
It just got thousands of impressions and nobody clicked on it. And we had the exact same copy on the purple ad, and its conversion rate was through the roof. So we just turned off the pink
pink
ads
probably
in the United
wasn't the
States.
colour at the time to be.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those. So we're always testing, and you don't realise that like when you give us the variations of the ads in the different colours with the different text on, that in itself is an A/B test, and that allows us to know more about what we're doing.
It's what copy is going to be most effective and what colour is going to attract the people the most, or what kind of imagery.
You've got it. If you've got like quite a high level audience that's like C-level technology, that kind of thing, you're probably going to want to keep it really clean, like wide, you know, that kind of stuff. Make it look almost like clinical. Whereas if it's more manager audience, you could probably get away with being a little bit softer. But those are just like.
So A/B testing isn't dead, really.
Not
it's
never.
It's
It'll always be
a part
there.
of it and
It'll always be there. Even for like the HubSpot strategists, the HubSpot consultants, they're always testing things like email headlines, you know, landing pages, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even testing platforms against each other, run the ad on LinkedIn and Facebook if you've got an audience on both, which one's giving you the best CPA, you know, and then where do you allocate your budget? If you're getting more conversions in Facebook at a better cost, then why keep running it on both platforms? You know, you're sort of testing that
Yeah.
Every quarter when we do a new campaign plan, you know, we've got like an experimental culture here at Digital 22. If we do a campaign plan, what are we going to experiment? What do we want to test? What's a theory that we have that we might want to find out in this next quarter for a client, and try and run that past them. We say, you know, we've got a theory. We want to try this platform. So me and Chris were working on a client recently, and I had a theory that I think Twitter would be a good platform. We don't know it for sure, but if we can talk the client into trying that platform, we'll find out. We'll do it for a quarter. We can always go back on it. We can always, you know, test different ad types. So yeah.
Yeah. That being said, I still don't enjoy doing PPC ads. I just the limitations is one side of it, and the side of it, like social posts that I create for the social team. There's a lot more freedom and flexibility. While I hate doing them, and a lot of designers will agree that it can be a mundane task that you're having to step and repeat and do the same thing, but for a different ad copy, ad size, and variations as well. There's still a huge importance on them, which I fully understand now even more in this podcast, which is great. But do you guys PPC? Do you? Because we get this question a lot, not even a question, it's a statement. I hate it, but it says something like, "This is easy. Why is it so expensive?" Is PPC expensive?
Yeah, it is, but it's the most effective.
Why is it so expensive?
Because it's so competitive at the minute. Because as we develop as a society, people are getting more and more impatient, so they won't wait for their SEO to kick in. So they want to do paid because that's quicker. And if Google carry on the way they are, I think that they're taking more and more search results off the homepage, so it's harder to get on the first page. So our SEO team are brilliant at what they do. I'll never tell them that, but they are. But they're great at what they do. But the fact of the matter is that if we've got a client who is struggling for a search term, then I can set up a campaign and be above the number one listing within like 3 hours.
Is it expensive though? Because if it's done correctly,
yeah,
your net spend is usually you're in profit.
It's relative. I suppose the expense is relative.
Yeah, if you're in profit on it, and like we said before, you know, for every pound you're spending, you're making 5. Is that expensive? That's profitable? So
is it high risk, high reward, or is it low risk, high reward, or how would you?
There's always a risk in anything you do. Like,
well, yeah.
You could do an email marketing campaign, and the email could not respond very well.
12 months of SEO and not get that organic ranking you want. You know, nothing's guaranteed in digital marketing.
No, absolutely not. No.
Unless you've got a massive PPC budget.
I mean, so for example, if you spent $5,000 and you got 25 back, is that $5,000 expensive? So someone said to me the other day, like, what's the most pressure? Is it managing a budget of, before I came here, I worked in a national car leasing company, and the budget was $120,000 a month on PPC.
Yeah.
So, is there more pressure in managing that, or is there more pressure in managing a budget for a client who's only got £500?
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's managing the 500 because every penny of that has to work.
Yeah.
There's no room for testing. There's no room for invalid clicks. There's no room for anything to go wrong in that £500. Whereas if you've got 120,000 and you get, £1,000 worth of invalid clicks, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I think it depends on the client as well, because like if they've got £500 to some clients might be a drop in the water, and it's not as risky. Whereas some clients, I mean, £500 might be them stretching their marketing budget, and like we need the results out of this. And it's you could say 500 is not a lot on PPC, but it's all relative to what their budget is and what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, definitely we've had clients like that before where it's been small budgets to try and do stuff with, and you definitely feel more pressure because for them they're monitoring that spend. They're a lot more worried about that spend, so you need to get those results with
because we do points allocation here at Digital 22, and is there a lot of allocation for PPC then for from strategist perspective?
Yeah, obviously we've got different tiers now, so we work with the more channels that you're using, the more points it spends. We've got that pricing that's now set, and it's better for the clients because they can sort of increase and decrease from campaign to campaign as they want. Also gives us as strategists the flexibility that if the points are there, I'd like to try another channel. The difficulty is that when we increase on another channel, we also need to increase that budget somehow. So we need more from the client. I mean, we don't take the ad spend; they pay that directly to whichever platform we're using. But that's the other conversation you have to have. So as a tactic, it's easy to say, right, I want to do 2 channels because we've got the points for it. but it's also for the client then to commit some extra budget to make sure that we're not
Yeah.
stealing from Peter to pay Paul from a different
No.
channel.
No,
I mean,
that makes sense.
once had a client say, like, we said, what's the budget for paid? And they said, there isn't a budget. Do you know, the money's there, just spend it.
I wish we had that in design.
Well, but there is a budget, because if I went and spent £5,000 in a day, I guarantee I'd have gone over budget. there is always a budget. You always need, what we try and do with the client is we try and work back from the top. So we'll look at what's the average lifetime value of a customer, or average order value, for example. So if we get the average order value for an e-commerce client, and then we look back as to how many inquiries do we need to get them customers. So if we can look at that, then we can work out what is an effective cost per acquisition for us, and then we can work that way and make sure it runs at a profit for them.
Are there any topics or services that PPC works better for? You know, like, we've got one of our clients who deals with retail for shoes and for different workplaces. We've done some really good campaigns for them for PPC, for example. Is there anything that doesn't work, or if something else is better suited to, or is it one size fits all sort of thing?
I don't think it's a one size fits all. It depends on like the sale time as well. If you've got something like I know a lot of SaaS companies do it, but like their sale time can be like 2 years. So you've got to wait 2 years to see a return on your investment coming through from anything that's on paid. Historically, e-commerce does really well in it. Things that have got quite a short lead time, they tend to do pretty well. But it all depends on, if it's high demand, it'll do well on paid. If something's in high demand, it'll do really well on any of the paid channels. But then you do LinkedIn is your more B2B, sorry. That's like a really good B2B platform.
Right.
Google and search tends to be higher intent. So if people are on things like Google ads, Microsoft ads, their intent's higher. They've gone in and they've clicked that search term. So I put that I'm searching for, football boots, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn and you're scrolling down, you're getting shown that advert because you're in those demographics. So search is higher intent. Anything that's got a short lead time tends to work well. But I've not found anything that can't be sold online. I mean, I used to have a client when I worked for myself. We sold bonsai trees. Bonsai trees, literally anything to do with a bonsai tree, like the wire, the pots, the trees, the food, anything to do with trees.
I'd love to do PPC ads for a bonsai tree.
So
it sounds more interesting.
Anything you could think of. But again, they were a client that had a £500 a month budget.
Yeah.
So every single penny of that had to work for them.
Yeah.
And it's such a niche that it did, and they had a really good standard in. Like, there's a whole community out there about bonsai trees and everything. So they had a really good.
China.
I mean, to be honest, these were in Britain, but I remember one year that we got a massive order in on the website because I think it was like one of the big corporate banks ordered a load of trees for their clients abroad. And so,
does it also include, was the whole thing about taking care of bonsai trees? Because there's a certain someone who works at Digital 22.
I think he's chucked his out the window.
Has he chucked it out the window?
I think so, yeah.
So there's a guy in SEO team.
Definitely wasn't Anthony.
We have to get him on and have a design versus SEO
Bonsai
versus
with Bilal.
PPC. Well, bonsai, yeah. I mean, he did not take care of that bonsai.
No.
I'm sorry to say.
I mean, to be fair, he did get COVID and couldn't really look after it in the office.
Well, that PPC ad campaign.
Dave tried to bring it back to life, didn't he?
Yeah.
Speaking of Anthony,
bonsai trees.
Well, speaking of a bonsai tree, Anthony Biggs, he works in SEO. What's this whole debate about SEO versus PPC then?
I mean, there isn't.
Chris loves this one.
There isn't one really.
Look at him, he's smiling already.
There isn't
to
one
me,
really.
I've always heard things like SEO are a better thing than
I think it's a
PPC.
friendly rivalry.
You do need both.
It's friendly until it's not.
No, you do need both. You need PPC because SEO can take a while to kick in, and when it's done properly, they dovetail perfectly together. If you've got something that you cannot rank for in SEO, then put a PPC campaign behind it, because you will get on the first page.
Even if you can, why not have two bites at the cherry? So you get the number one spot on a keyword you want, organically, so you're there at the top. But there's 4 other people that are advertising above it. You want to be in both. You want to be top of paid, top of organic.
Yeah.
Who's going to get the click out of that? It's going to be the one you've seen your page twice.
Also, as
scroll
well,
down, they're like, these guys are going to be the best, because not only have they got up to the top organically, they've also got the best ad up there.
Yeah.
Who are you going to pick?
and as well, if you've got the number 1 listing, for example, and there's 4 above you, so there's that, and then they could put the maps in, and then they could put a featured snippet. So before you know it, you're not even above the fold. You're like 2 or 3 scrolls down on the first page, but you've got the number 1 listing, and that's not fair. I mean,
I can't remember the stat now, but the majority of people on Google will scroll past the ads as well and click on the top organic search result, because it's deemed to be higher quality, which is the whole point of Google search. So, I know certainly when I scroll, I don't tend to click on ads unless it's something that really grabs my attention. I'd always go for that top result. So it's not a versus thing. I think it's, like Chris said, you want both there. You want them to work together.
You need both.
I think I'm oblivious to the ads at the top of Google where, like, I'll tell my dad as well, like, over time, because I realised it. My dad will just click on it. I do it. I click on the first results and I think, yeah, that'll be sound. I think someone said to me that, oh, you shouldn't click on those Google ads because it's going to cost the people money for what you're clicking on. I'm just thinking, well,
Unless they're competitors,
unless
just
they're
click on
competitors,
them as much
you
as you
click on them
can.
as much as you
No,
can.
you can't. But,
No, we
I
don't
mean,
do that, disclaimer.
No.
You've got to. I mean, that's where the ad comes into play. Then it's where it's got to be engaging copy. It's got to have a good, clear call to action. Like, it's got to tell people what they're looking for. So you need in your ad to answer their query. So if I'm looking for football boots, then I need to, on a particular brand, for example, say I'm looking for Nike football boots.
Yeah.
So if I see an ad for Adidas football boots, I'm probably not going to click on it because the intent's not there.
No.
So, but then if I see an ad from any retailer who said, we've got a huge range of Nike football boots, every size stocked, nationwide, free delivery next day, probably going to click on that. So they've got all the sizes, they've got them in stock, it's free delivery, probably everything I need.
It's a little bit like competitor ads, isn't it? Which
Yeah.
is like quite common practice of people bidding against their competitors' brand names. So, if you type in Digital 22, I bet there's other inbound marketing agencies that have got ads up there. It's quite common practice. There's nothing to stop it.
No.
But I think we potentially argue that the intent's not there. They're searching for that business specifically. So they're looking to find it. They're not looking to find we're also an inbound marketing agency. And therefore, why not click on us? Because it's like, well, I weren't searching for you.
I think every company should do their own brand campaign because, like you said, though, because other people bid on it, and it's because your landing page score will be great, your quality score will be good, your expected click-through rate will be great. So all your relevancy and everything will get you a really, really cost-effective cost per click, and it's just protecting the brand. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there who are almost arrogant when it comes to it, like not having a branded campaign up. It can cost you money because, well, we are the number 1 organic, you are correct, but your competitors are in there above you and they're getting seen first on your branded name.
I saw one the other day that was really sketchy. Without naming any names, one of our clients' competitors has got an ad against their brand name, and they've actually used our client's brand name in the ad, which I mistook it myself at first because they're a new client, and I looked on it, I was like, I wonder if they've got like a reseller site or something like that, because the brand name's
or if they're collaborating even on that.
So I clicked on it, realised it was a competitor ad, and when I spoke to the client, they were like, we've been trying to get it down for a while. They're arguing that it's an industry term and they're well within the rights to put it in there, and that's really sketchy tactics for me, but it happens. And that's why defensive tactic is to make sure you've got your own brand name bidded on. It seems daft to have to pay for your own brand name when people are searching for you, but those who don't do it,
I mean, our brand name's trademarked as well, so that's you like, if you're advertising on a trademark term, you can get in trouble for that.
Can you though? Or can they add that to a keyword group?
I don't think you can because it's a company name. It's not like you could have it as a keyword, could you really? I mean, there might be ways around it. All you could do is just add it as a negative. If anyone's watching from them organisations, just add it as a negative.
I think what
I know
people
I'd send
do,
you an email.
They'll argue though, won't they, that we're not bidding on that. So like, our brand name is Digital 22. They could say, I'm just bidding on digital, and it's just showing up naturally in that. And it's like, well, you probably not, but you could argue the case.
Yeah, you can. You can, and
we'll love arguing the case.
That's what we're here for in this Design vs podcast. Stay tuned for the SEO versus PPC. That could be
that will take part in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
If it's you versus Anthony, that's just a ridiculous business.
No, he'll have his butler doing it.
There is a question that I did want to ask. now the question I've written down roughly, right? So I'm not going to say that it's bad for inbound marketing, because inbound marketing, obviously, it's the sort of, as obvious as it is, it's complete opposite to what we do, what we know as with normal marketing, that we don't do cold calling, we don't
Attract,
adverts
engage,
out.
delight.
But PPC, on the other hand, is advertising in itself. Like you are constantly putting up ads for people to see and click on and say, hey, look at me, I'm a product or a service. Is it bad for inbound marketing, or rather, does it affect inbound marketing in a negative way? I mean, I don't technically think so if it's doing what it's doing.
For me, PPC is still inbound marketing, particularly Google Ads, because people are coming to us in that sense. Yeah, I suppose you could argue that with social ads, we're finding people and we're putting ourselves there. But actually, if you're delivering, a lot of our ads, they're not ads like come and buy our product. We've got a nice piece of content that you'll find really useful.
Download it.
So it's not straight up, we're trying to sell to you, we're giving you content that you like. So they're coming to us willingly. They're not, we're not ringing them up, interrupting the day.
They're researching out and they're reading these blogs, and suddenly they come across these PPC ads, and right, and that's our way of. So they kind of not intertwined, but they work quite well, not hand in hand, but alongside each other. Inbound marketing, PPC, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, organic's great, and that's that nice sustainable traffic that you're going to get.
But you'll always need that little bit of push.
But why would you not want a good mix of traffic?
PPC
If you rely on any one tactic too heavily, you really leave yourself open to, one day the game change. I mean, for example, organic, Google changes the game constantly.
Sure.
And if you were to be just focused on organic, I mean, we've all seen it. A new Google algorithm update comes out and traffic falls off a cliff, and it's like, if you're so reliant on just organic, that could be you having a few really bad months while your SEO agent tries to fix it. Whereas if you've got paid, you can make that work a little bit harder to make sure that traffic's still coming through, those leads are still coming through.
Okay.
And it's a little bit like anything, you need to protect yourself and make sure there's backups and there's contingency plans for things.
You don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Me and Christian spoke about this yesterday. He used to work on a client who got 80% of the traffic in from social on Instagram.
Right.
All it takes is your account to get banned for a violation or limited or anything like that, and before you know it, you've lost 80% of your traffic through to your site. Now, I don't know many companies out there who can afford to lose 80% of their traffic through to the site, or can have 80% of their traffic actually coming in through just one channel. It's something you've always got to look to diversify it and make sure you've got steady
push
streams.
it as much as possible.
Exactly, yeah. If there's something there that you could utilise, then it'd be foolish not to.
Right, lads, so I'm going to now change the whole sort of pace of this. Now, we'll come towards the end of this podcast. We'll do the quickfire round. Now, last night, we did discuss this in a pre-meeting where we go through certain potential things that I can ask as questions, but I slightly changed it all. I still want, simpler answers. You don't have to, I don't want you to go too much into details on them.
No rambling, Chris is saying, basically.
For example, a question might be, who's the better designer, me or Dave?
Dave.
Just an example. It's just an example. I didn't expect you to... So quickly you said that. Did you hear that? Honestly, yeah.
You'll
You were
notice
gonna say Dave as well.
I didn't even answer, Bilal.
I still prefer you SEO.
It depends on what they're doing. If it's ebooks, Bilal's the man.
He is, yeah. If it's anything with crayons or Crayola Dave.
It was just an example question, lads. It was just, we're both obviously ported.
Very, very good.
Dave's senior, I'm middleweight, and he's...
It's like Chris and Christian, who's better at PPC.
Christian's
the young upstart
true.
that's gunning for the crown.
He's gunning for it.
Yeah, I'm gunning for SEO, like always,
Good, mate. They need all the help they can
I
get.
rarely work with them. So I'll start with these questions. Just I'll ask you both.
I'll let you answer first.
Okay, there you go. Right. So, and these are random and sometimes relevant, sometimes not. Okay. So just say what you think. Opening a new window or in a new tab?
New tab.
New tab.
New tab, yeah.
Yeah.
New tab, yeah. Single scroll websites or multi-page websites?
Multi-page.
Multi-page?
Every time.
Multi-page.
Multi-page.
Got
If you
to
went for
separate it
single-scroll
out. Got to
websites.
separate it out.
I can't wait to see someone who says single scroll to this
Well,
question.
they're wrong.
PPC or SEO? I mean,
I
pretend
can
Chris isn't
answer
here.
for us both. PPC.
I'm going to go SEO,
Oh, there we go.
just to be controversial.
There we go.
That's
All
okay.
right. Okay. All right. This question's a bit different. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You have to drop one forever. Which do you drop?
Facebook.
You drop Facebook.
Facebook.
You drop-
We work with a lot of B2B clients. It's
See, I've
not-
got-
Do you mean personally?
Oh, personally, like which one
Yeah,
we use? or
personally.
which one-
No, personally. Yeah.
Still Facebook, yeah.
I'm glad we clarified that, pal.
I thought you meant for like clients.
No.
rather than saying, like, oh, you've got
I should have specified. That's my fault. But like, I've got all three, but I never use Twitter. Facebook's connected to Instagram.
I love
now.
Twitter.
I like
You love
Twitter.
Twitter?
Yeah, it's
I
good.
don't post on it though. I just love scrolling on
It's
it.
reading.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Organic or paid?
That's SEO
Same
PPC.
question to SEO.
Yeah, PPC.
Is it?
Yeah,
I-
it's the same.
I don't know. I just thought of these questions last
Same.
night. Mobile first or desktop first?
Mobile first.
Depends on the client.
I thought that would be.
It does.
yeah.
We've got a client at the minute. We've got a few who are very much like tech clients, so all their traffic comes from desktop, so it'd be absolutely pointless doing mobile
I
first.
think when mobile first done right though, the desktop still looks great.
It does,
so
yeah. But I mean, you could
the
have
opposite
it.
way around though. When
It's
mobile
easier to
looks
design
bad,
desktop
it's-
first for me. Like, personally, I don't know what Dave will think to this, but personally, I prefer to make the desktop, and then, like we end up doing it as a chore for the mobile friendly, and it's just like you just got to make sure everything fits in the fold before you can scroll down and look at the rest of it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how creative are you?
I think I'm a solid 5.
You're a solid 5.
I'd give myself like a 7 or an 8.
Well,
I've
if
got
you're
a creative
making
background.
if you're making noodle sandwiches, you
That's
got to
a
have
2,
a
that's a
higher
2.
bar, but lower results from that. So
I'm going 7 or 8. I was a copywriter, content
You were.
writer, so
You were,
that's my
so
creative background.
there. Well,
I'd say 5. I write the ads and everything, but I mean they're more for effect than for like substance really.
CTR or CPA?
CPA.
CPA.
It's all about that cost per acquisition.
Yeah.
You get the cost per acquisition right, the CTR will be
I have
good
no
anyway.
idea what any of this means. I've written it down: click per action and click through rate. Right? Is that?
No, cost per acquisition.
Just got a glossary of
per
PPC
acquisition.
terms to one
Goodness.
side.
He's got his sister to do these for him, wasn't it?
I mean, dumb it down for me, please. A night in or a night out?
Depends.
What does depend? I like a night out, to be
At
fair.
our age, I mean, at my age, at 30.
I'm not playing this game.
Jonathan will put the ages here, here, and here.
Please
Here
do.
for my age.
Favourite thing about working at Digital 22?
Culture.
Culture.
Culture. Straight up answer that. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Straight on it. I'd say culture too, to be honest. The people.
The people.
Yeah, definitely.
People. And finally, how do you pronounce stare?
Stare.
Stare.
Oh, he did it
Oh, he's
properly
did it
that
right
time.
this time. Okay.
Try chair.
Chair.
Oh, he's doing it on purpose.
No, I only do it when you go chair because that is not correct.
No, because
so-
you say chair.
Well, you say chair and it's not right.
This
Chair.
is
I
the
was
Design
thinking
Versus
about
podcast.
the multi-award winning artist.
No, you were not.
And obviously these were relevant and irrelevant, but let's finally settle the debate. Okay. Does mayo belong on chips?
No,
Yes,
never.
unequivocally.
Disgusting.
Okay. So you're saying
Never.
Never.
Don't put it on
Ever.
anything.
You're
Avoid it.
saying
Absolutely.
It should be
I do
banned.
not have chips without mayonnaise.
It should be
Jonathan's,
banned.
Jonathan's at the back shaking his head.
He's
Oh no,
nodding.
he's nodding.
He's
his
nodding.
head,
Who
sorry.
did- who you
He's
nodding
Pro
with,
mayo.
though?
in agreement.
Oh my
Mayo
word. That's
and
why
chips.
you're off camera.
Yeah. If he agrees, I mean, I disagree as well. So.
What
I
sauce
don't
would you
think-
two have with your chips then?
Ketchup.
Ketchup.
Like every
simple,
other normal
like
person.
a normal person should.
But do you know what's great? I can do both. So I'll have a
Oh,
little blob of
yeah,
mayo,
but-
a little
don't
blob of
mix them.
ketchup, and
I bet you put gravy on it and all.
and then in the middle it goes all pinky, so you can like have a dip of all three. You've got that. I think they call it Mary Rose sauce, don't they?
Oh,
do, yeah.
gosh.
Lovely.
If you want, Sam Wright's got a beige cookbook coming out in this
Also-
autumn.
We're still
Last
waiting for it,
night,
actually.
for the first time, I tried barbecue and mayo, and actually
What, barbecue mixed with
barbecue
mayo?
sauce. Not mix. I don't like mix it up, but I put a blob of each on the thing, and then when you get your chip, you sort of give it a little mix. Yeah, I can wholeheartedly, endorse that.
I mean, Jonathan's doing
Jonathan's
that.
getting well
doing that.
excited.
He
He's
puts,
like, yeah.
he puts blueberries in his lunch randomly, so...
Well, that's on a different
Which is okay if
level,
it's
isn't it?
porridge.
No, it's not.
Not
It's
so
chicken.
okay if it's
He's got chicken, veg with banana and blueberries. I'm like, oh, you put your dessert in with your main. That's nice.
I did a pie butty last week.
You did.
That was spectacular.
Then you're off for 2 days with indigestion.
Chris.
Yes,
If we'd like to know about more of your podcast for paid marketing podcast, what could we expect to see?
The next episode, Sam kindly gave us the title for the last episode, which was
pulled the
the
strings
alternatives to
behind
Google Ads, and the next one is what does a PPC manager do? So we're going to run through that, what we do, like daily, weekly, monthly, and yeah.
Excellent. please check that out on our YouTube channel. That is our episode on PPC. I'd like to thank both our guests again. Thank you guys for debating with me.
No worries. We do get paid for this, don't we?
Cheers for having us.
Like I said at the start, I bribed you guys into this one. I did
McDonald's,
say...
I think you said.
Yeah,
I heard that.
I did bribe
But he's
you.
going to have to go
into
get
that.
mayo from elsewhere. McDonald's doesn't give mayo out with the chips, and this has bugged me forever, but...
Yeah. And that concludes the episode of Design vs PPC. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this debate, stay tuned for more. And until then, see you later.